see I'm still it's still binding up a little bit, and you can hear the back wheel spinning on the passenger side. So I didn't want to overdo it. Decided to put it in reverse because you get more torque.
Well, I'm back on the 62 Thunderbird with it running. Now what I need to do is get the front wheels unseized. I'll take you through what I'm going to do to try and get these going. My name is Rudy Samsel, and I'm the co-founder of GuysWithRides.com, the only dealer-free community for classic and collector car enthusiasts like you and me. This is my latest brine time video where I do dumb things in my garage so you don't. It's a little bit different format this time, as I'm helping the daughters of the deceased owner of this 1962 Ford Thunderbird Landau find a new happy home. And we needed to do some troubleshooting as the car had not been used in, as far as we can tell, the last 5 or 6 years. So like any car, if you don't use it, they tend to get bound up, and this Thunderbird was no exception. If you watched the last video, you saw I replaced the fuel pump, troubleshooted the fuel system, and the car starts and runs great now with fresh gas and a new fuel pump. It cleared the lines. However, I had a hell of a time getting it out of the garage it's been sitting in for the last 6 years. If you're familiar with drag racing, in order to facilitate warming up the tires when they do a burnout, they use something called line lock, where the driver can actually lock the front brakes temporarily to force the rear wheels to turn. I basically had at least one of the front wheels on this car locked up because the sheer torque of the 390 was able to pull the car out, but one of the wheels, if not both of the wheels, were dragging on the front. So effectively, by the time I got it out of the garage and then tried to put it back in, it was doing a burnout, and mainly from the passenger rear tire. In addition to that, I found the pedal was going right to the floor as soon as I turned on the car. So this week's goal was twofold: figure out which wheels were locking up and holding the car back, and then hopefully determining why the brakes were not working. And what I say by that is, when I turned the car on and let it run, the pedal basically went to the floor, but there was no leaking fluid that I could tell on the garage floor. So let me take you through what I did with this car to get it back into the garage and ready for sale. So starting with the passenger side, I had a feeling this was the better of the two based on the tire marks in the garage. And so loosened the nuts, took off the hubcap, loosened the nuts. That's what you see me doing here. And proceeded to jack up the car properly and put a jack stand underneath for safety. And as you could see, I'm all ready to turn the wheels by hand, and it was moving fairly easily. That's what you want. And I was starting to take the wheel off and then realized, okay, it was spinning with me just turning it. So I knew the passenger side front wheel was not the problem, and I just proceeded to put the wheel back on and moved on. At that point, I realized in this shot, I wanted to check the master cylinder, which is actually a later model dual cylinder, I believe. If you know your Thunderbirds, I'd like to know whether this is an aftermarket master cylinder or if came from the factory. But in that shot, you see me filling the master cylinder. The front circuit was filled. The back was a little low, and that diaphragm in the master cylinder top was squeezed up. So I tried to pull that down. I filled the master cylinder, the rear circuit, and then moved on to the driver's side wheels. Same thing here. Loosen the wheels, put it up on jack, and proceeded to start taking the lug nuts off. And as you see, I can take them off even though the car is jacked up. So that's a clue. The wheel is seized up. I got the wheel off, and then Here you see me tapping the drum with a persuader just to try and maybe loosen it up. Don't show here, but I put some PB blaster in. So finally, I'm taking a crowbar to try and break the wheel free. And you can see I can move it with the crowbar, but that's not what you want. You saw the passenger side. I should be able to turn that freely. So I had to take off the drum, see what was going on. Here I am pulling the cotter pin and then the front bearing retainer. Once I was in there, I took off the nut that holds this assembly together. Started tapping, and then got the front bearing wanted to come out, and now I slowly tapped and used the crowbar against the backing plate that the drum fits against, and you can see it's loosening up. Was carefully using the crowbar here, but eventually I got it off. And then it was a matter of adjusting the star wheel to get the brakes in loose so the drum would turn. And in hindsight, I went way too aggressive to the point that the shoes were not even touching the drum. You can see me spinning this quite freely now. So I reassembled the bearings. Didn't repack them. Not going anywhere. This car, it's going to need a brake job anyway. So the next owner can worry about that when they do this. Had a little trouble getting the cotter pin back in, but I used the old cotter pin and we were good to go. And here you see me. Now there's no resistance on the front wheel. Probably should have added a little more back, but again, my main concern here was to get the car back in the garage. I put the wheels back on. You can see me now, it's moving freely. And as you'd expect with a free wheel, you can only tighten it so far. Moving on to the rear, I knew the passenger side at the minimum was spinning and free because I could do a burnout with this car, as I explained earlier. So I focused my attention on the driver's side, not knowing whether it was working or not. So when I can't confirm it, but the fact that the passenger side is able to spins freely and will burn out the tire, and the driver's side isn't, I believe that's an open differential. So I don't have posi traction on this thing. So I proceeded to take off the fender skirt, remove the hubcap, and then loosen the lug nuts here. It's a little tricky getting that out because of the styling. I decided to put some PB blaster behind the drum just to try to break this free. I confirmed the car was in neutral. I had it chocked on the other side for safety, and then just proceeded to tap on the drum with the persuader again, a little PB blaster on the back side of this. And so here I am studying it, trying to decide whether to take the drum off or not. But I figured between the hammering and the PB blaster, it would free up enough. Was willing to take that chance. And so you see me struggling here to get the wheel back in. And I realized my mistake here was I put my racing jack underneath the front part of the leaf spring on these. These are these unibody Thunderbirds, relied on leaf spring rear suspensions. And by having the jack on the front mount of the spring perch, that was lifting, it wasn't lifting the car. It was lifting the axle relative to the car. So once I realized that, luckily there was a spare floor jack from the deceased owner. I brought that over here, went to the actual jack mounting point towards the rear of the car, And you can see that's lifting the body relative to my other jack, and that gave me the clearance to put the wheel back on. Lowered the car up both jack stands, and so at this point, this is where I felt comfortable enough to try and move the car again and get it back into the garage. So this is a real-time map.
It's still binding up a little bit, and you can hear the back wheel spinning on the passenger side. So I didn't want to overdo it. Decided to put it in reverse because you get more torque. And I realized I had a wheel chock on the passenger side, so I removed that, got back in the car, backed it up further to get on less wet ground. And it rained heavily the night before. And I think part of the problem was this car's a torque monster, and it was sitting on wet pavement. So I got it to a dry section, and I was able to successfully move it in. However, you see me gingerly doing that because this car does not have brakes right now.
Somebody's looking for a nice project car that's going to be easy to sort. This is the car for you. It has a nice driver quality paint job on it that was done probably in the last 10 years. A replacement vinyl top, that's the correct one for this Landau model. So the things you have to do on this car, you'd have to go through and sort the brakes because there's something causing the pedal to go down to the floor. It may be the master cylinder. The daughters didn't want me going further than what I had already done in terms of spending on the car. That was my recommendation because in the other video I mentioned the starter, the solenoid being sticky. I'm seeing that the more and more I start the car, that's less of an issue. In fact, it's almost a non-issue now. It only did it once to me this latest time. So I think a little more warm-up, running the car, that should be a non-issue. And in fact, it starts so easily now that even if the starter doesn't bump, to turn it off, try again, and it'll kick over, and the car will start. Beyond that, I think the if I leave the car running long enough, the thermostat seems to be sticking because the car will start to heat up in that area. So after getting the brakes resolved and satisfied, so after the brakes, the next thing I would be looking at is confirming perhaps taking the thermostat out and debugging the cooling system and make sure that's all right. I think if you get the brakes done, the wheels freed up, and the cooling system resolved, the car will be drivable. We just didn't want to take it that far because we were looking at probably another 1 or 2 days of my labor. So if you're interested in the car, I encourage you to visit guyswithrides.bid, and we currently have the car up in a no reserve auction that will end Thursday, July 10th. The bidding starts at $3,900. However, if you recognize the value of this car, the buy it now option is $6,000. I think that's a very fair price for a car that features a really good paint job. Just needs some sorting to get roadworthy again. And beyond that, the next owner can choose whether to enjoy the original leather interior as is, or perhaps restore the car's interior and take it to the next level. So if you have any questions about this car, you can leave them on the Guys with Rides website in the comments section of the listing, or you can call me directly, 877-468-6497. Thank you for watching my latest Grind Time video. If you enjoyed this content, please press the like button. And if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to subscribe. As I record this video, I'm at 4,300 subscribers, which represents only about 8 to 10% of my overall viewership. So I encourage you to subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it helps me get this channel out to anyone interested in DIY, shade tree mechanic kind of stuff. So thanks for watching. Get out there and drive. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching this video. Please press the like and subscribe button, comment below, and be sure to check out our other videos on this subject, as well as all the great content on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, you can call me at the number listed below, or be sure to check out our main website, guyswithrides.com.